Hey everybody, it's Kasha Gage. Welcome back. Today I'm excited to share with you a walkthrough of my completed December daily album for 2023. As you may have gathered from here on my channel, or if you've seen on Instagram, this year I chose to not create process videos for my layouts or share my layouts and spreads on Instagram. It is what I personally needed this year, and I have to say I am so thankful I made that decision. It was the right decision for me, and it felt really good. Part of December was really rough with my pregnancy, and this just gave me the space to just focus on my health and the baby. I loved it, so thank you. And it's something you've probably heard me say several times this year, or whether it was on YouTube or in my classes, there's something that's really awesome to create, just for the sake of creating, without any intention of sharing, or it being for social media, the blog, for promoting products, anything, but just simply creating. And again, that's been a huge driving mission, motivation, reason this year for me. So I'm going to dive in here. I'll probably share a few other takeaways as far as this project. Most of the products are from Allie Edwards, either this year's collection or maybe stuff I've had in my stash from past years. I will have listed below a pretty extensive supply list, but of course, if you guys have any specific questions, do not hesitate to reach out and let me know or ask. All right, so this is my 5th year doing December daily. Sorry, you guys hear Margot there, the little barks. My 5th year doing December daily, and it is my 3rd year doing this project in a 10x8 album size. And I really love this album size. As many of you already know, I am a photographer, and photos are definitely my love language. I love the big photos. You walk in our house and you see photos everywhere. There's something where it's just really special to me, and seeing, what I had captured, how I view the world or myself or my people, and seeing that, in one space, that collection of photos, that collection of stories. So we'll dive in here. How I like to open my album, as I've done in all years past, is with a photo. That photo a lot of times is either something to do with my Christmas card or one of my favorite photos from the year. And this is a photo that I took that was for our pregnancy announcement, and the little, you can't tell, those little red shoes are to signify it is a baby girl. Yes, we already know that. Then the backside, another photo that was for our Christmas card, including our pups, and then part of my reason why. And so a big part of my reason why with this year was that it's the last year that it's just the 2 of us. 4 if you want to count the dogs, but just Ben and I. And so, really wanted to remember what life looked like before her, and just really be present and just try to savor it. So again, that goes back to why I chose not to do the videos and share this year. Moving on to story 1. Again, in a lot of my previous albums, one thing I had noticed that just maybe it was just a happenstance or, coincidence, but the very beginning of December, I usually had some, December 1st, some type of letter. A letter to myself, a letter to December. Last year, Ben and I wrote a letter to each other of what we hoped for each other, for the season. So I liked including that again. A little twist on it. This is letters to family, and this came about from prep day. So here I used some packaging and some vellum, but they're photos of all my people. So I did one for both the dogs. So Margot, Henry, my husband Ben, and then baby girl. This is part of a recent sonogram, and no initial on there because we have not chosen her name yet. So like having that, it's, pretty, once you do the work, it's pretty simple for there. Horrible stitching on it, but I'm okay with that. My tension, and all my settings were off on my sewing machine when I dove in. So just got to leave it. That's part of the mess is part of the process. Story 2, short little letter to baby girl. This is an ornament we received from my sister. So put her sonogram in there, just a short little letter. So again, something you'll see that's a common thread in this album this year. Photo and words. Everything else is extra to me. And that's really one way I would say my style has evolved, where it's a lot of emphasis on the photos and words. Story 3, clean, simple. That's definitely what I've been drawn to lately. But a story about hosting a belated Thanksgiving meal, as a way to say thank you to a friend who watched our dogs. And I happened to take this photo when, my husband had just cleaned the turkey and I was getting ready to prep it, and he was showing them, and you see the concentration in Henry's eyes. Using, I think this is from last year, a felt circle pocket and card, and took this opportunity to break out my Mink. So I used, transparency for your laser printer. So ran that through my laser printer and then through my Mink. So I did that quite a bit, or this is the one time a year where I really use my laser printer and my Mink. Story 4 is all about decorating the tree. This year we started decorating early November, like the first or second week of November, pulling stuff out. And that was a huge thing for me I wanted to do, because we went back to Michigan to see family over Thanksgiving. So I didn't want to have to stress. I wanted to be able to enjoy it for all of December. This also is part of a photo series that I started, I think back in 2018. You can see my post on Instagram with this photo, and then additional photos that are from previous years that are part of that series. But part of my process for decorating underneath the tree, I've done it the same for almost 20 years, where it's, there's aluminum foil, you put the lights on, and then there's tulle. And people ask about the aluminum foil. That is to help the lights reflect back up into the tree. So story 4, some details about decorating early and what it's like, what was going on that day. Story 5, talking about loving. So again, here I printed out my journaling. This is just on printer paper, but I ran that through my laser printer and then through the Mink. A little photo of the kiddos. So that's a quote from previous years. Story 6, a scrap lift from Allie, and this is about what my people are currently loving. My stitching, when I had to pull this apart to fix the seam or how it was lining up, my stitching pulled out, I left it. What's my good enough? What's your good enough, right? Story 7, baking. So this came from one of the papers, I don't know, the main kit or an add-on, these circles. So punched it out, cut out this little window, and then again journaling behind it, and that was minked. That was from printed on a transparency. Story 8, I didn't even put a number on it, and I'm completely okay with that. Looking at this now, I could obviously put like a little 8 here in the center. Maybe I'll do that. Could also do one of the Tim Holtz tags to spin off of that. So a little bit of handwriting, pattern paper, an embellishment for my stash, and then a photo of Ben and Henry. Love that. So story 9, all about December colors. Again, this setup came from an idea, I believe, in prep day. So here's a good example of like where I just focused on photos. There are no words. So what are the different colors of December that are happening around here? And this is a photo I took from, I believe this one was from our tree, but just playing with the aperture and then shifting also into, or switching to manual focus on my camera. On the back side, I filled it up with some Christmas movies that, we plan to watch this season. Story 10, using one of these vellum pockets. Those were, available, I think, in the shop. They were extra. Adding on that plastic nutcracker. And then using one of the tags. I think this came from a separate piece of paper, but excuse me, at Thanksgiving, my sister gave me my childhood stocking. She had come across this and found this in my mom's things. Brought so much joy, and I thought it was just it worked out perfect to have that nutcracker. But telling the story about that stocking and some childhood memories. So I like to be able to bring in a lot of times something about the past, you know, some Christmas past or a memory. And this was a great opportunity to do so. Again, journaling on transparency and minked that. And there's a little eyelet in there. I will say, like, the back, because you can peek through, you can see the nutcracker. I chose not to add any embellishments. Story 11 is a scraplet from Allie. I believe she did this last year. And so did this for my book club Christmas I hosted this year. So some different photos and then a little bit of, you know, a few stories, words about, you know, what we gave, because we have a favorite things gift exchange. So yeah, that was fun. Moving into story 12, gratitude. Again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and you'll see another photo that's representative of it, December was really rough. For about 2 weeks straight, I was just super sick every single day. I'll say my second trimester has been a lot harder than my first, but grateful for it all. And my husband happened to take this photo, you know, when me, the dogs went back to bed, and I loved it. I thought it worked perfect. So I decided to do work journaling very simple. And this was one of the papers add-on main kit, not sure which one, that had the gold foil. I considered either taking the chance to run it through my printer. I also considered stamping, but for me, that would have been a lot of stamping and a lot of time. And I did not personally want to spend that type of time stamping all of these words out. So what I chose to do is use matte sticker paper and ran that through my printer and then just adhered the whole entire thing down rather than trimming it. So it masks a little bit of that gold, so the gold isn't 100% nearly as shiny, but it's okay. I like it. And then obviously added the numbers. I like how that one turned out. Story 13, all about Christmas cards. So again, using the photo to tell my story and choosing not to add any more supporting words to that. I think I shared this in my recent project life process video, but I ordered these from Minted, and I have to say it's the second year in a row that they had screwed up my order by not including things, and then the coloring being completely off, and then several of the cards had scratches and spots on them. So I don't think I will use them next year. If you guys have a place that you love to get your Christmas cards printed from, like a favorite place, please let me know in the comments, because I'd love to have that marked or test them out, for next year. Story 14, all about an ornament exchange party. So using one of those transparencies and then going for super, super clean and minimal. I love all of the negative space and then putting my journaling down. So this is one of the ornaments that I ended up getting. It was a white elephant party. You could only steal, I think, one of the ornaments twice, and there were so many beautiful ones. There's about 30 other ladies. Just a fun night, bunch of great food and drinks, and yeah, that was awesome. Okay, so story 15, this is all about making the ornament from Margot this year with her paw print. We did it for Henry last year. I have to say this was a little bit harder to kind of figure out how I wanted to do this, like the specific one. I think in hindsight, I probably love this tradition. Maybe would have just put that in gold, used my, what is it called? The foil pen inside the mink and foiled right directly on the photo. It's fine. I'll leave it. The white carries over from the next page, but still, anyway. It's okay for me. Story 16, all about what's on my phone. This word art, I think, is from maybe 2020 or 2021. It was a freebie, a download, and you'd be able to find that somewhere on Allie's blog for that. But this is part of a template that I created for first pieces of play back in February, which you guys can see that again here in my videos. And then I also adjusted the size and used that again for a week in the life. And I did give that away as a freebie. And I think there's still saved as a highlight in my Instagram stories for that. And I will put a link for you guys down below. So just talking about some of what's on my phone, some of the different screenshots, messages, images, and then what what currently I'm doing on my phone. Story 17 is all about the different books I was reading this year. Again, a recurring story year over year. And obviously the books change, but talking about what I'm reading. Some of them were from book club. I think one year I did a double spread of this year it was a single. I don't think I fully did I guess I did do a few double spreads with the words and stuff, but it was just, how it worked out this year. I do not have a number 17 for this story, and I'm okay with that, really. Like, not everything, it goes in sequential order. It's fine for me. Story 18, all about wrapping the gifts. This paper and bows I used from a digital stamp, cut that out with my silhouette, and then this flips up. So here was a photo. Let me even pull this out, a prime one. I don't know if you guys can see all of that. There you go. Maybe you can see all of that. This was a photo that I specifically had. I was originally thinking I was going to do it in a landscape orientation, but I preferred it going vertically after the fact. So just cut it up, did a flip up, added a number and the nutcracker there. Let me see if I think you guys I'm back in the center. Yes. Okay. And then also my journaling. So Dear Santa, Care of the North Pole. I thought that was kind of cute and fitting for this little bit. And then using sticker paper on this one journal card. I think that was from past year. Okay, story 19. Again, here's a recurring story that happens year over year. I do a photo of my husband working. One year, I think it might have been 2019. He was in LA for work. And so I had him take all of his photos for that trip. That week he was gone. And then the past few years, it's been me taking a photo of him. And then he does the journaling. So I like including his voice. It's a great opportunity to include another's voice in the album, and I love doing that. I stood behind the tree, so that's how you see some of this in the foreground of the branches and then the bokeh. I love the layers personally in this photo. And Margot's at the desk helping. Story 20. Using one of those add-on die cuts. I did something very similar to this last year. I think it was maybe around story, I don't know. It was between story 18 and 20. So you guys might say that's exactly what you did for last year. Yep. I'm okay repeating some of the same things again. On the back, talking about what had been going on for me for December. You may have seen also on my Instagram, I did a photo. This was staged. I wasn't actually puking during this, but very representative of what the past month has looked like. And so I took the photo, I think that was in November, but turned it into black and white and wanted to include it. So again, I'm somebody that does not shy away from the messy and the hard. That's part of our life, or that's part of my life. It's not a highlight reel. So including that, talking about what was going on and how often I had been sick and what was even prompting it. So yeah, including that. Here is part of story 21. This idea I did scrap lift from Morgan Beale. Absolutely love her. I think she had like a cutout for here as well, something like that. But maybe her numbers were over there. I don't 100% remember. But I do remember when I saw it, I texted her and told her I was going to have to scrap lift some. So a couple little portraits. You got my husband and I and the pups. And then just a little bit of, details of what's going on. So this specific day, we had our appointment with the OB, talking about how that went, what tests I was having done, and then just a little bit more of like what this is going on and what this season of life looks like and feels like. Going on to story 22, so some of the front porch. This circle, I believe if I remember right, I think it's 6 inches. This was just 6 inches. This was part of, I think, the 2020 collection, and I have held on to this for years. I have had a specific idea of a photo I wanted to take, and it didn't 100% happen the way I wanted it to this year, and I just thought, you know what, like, quit hoarding. use the things. And it's still, even with the text or the quote or the phrase, like sentiment, there we go, it's applicable to what is here. So front porch, close up of the wreath. I love circles. Wreaths have always been included in my album, so a great opportunity to include that. And then just layering. This specific circle, the screen one, if I remember right, it came from the Remember Story kit, so like a year ago. And then, adding a circle. I think that was from the variety die cut. A few embellishments here. Moving into story 3, we ended up at the mall. All of our shopping had been done online, but we needed to return something. So I'm taking a trip to the mall. This is, looking up for one of the trees and part of their ceiling. And this was pretty simple, using one of the transparencies. This is from the 3x8 transparency pack. And again, printing my journaling out on transparency and minking that. Oh, pretty simple. It's usually this point that I start to feel done. Like I'm okay. Simplicity for the win. Let's make sure the words are in there, but how can we wrap this up? So story 24, Christmas Eve. I've realized I do not have a number on this one, and I think I'm okay with that. I don't know. I could include 24. Maybe I will handwrite Christmas Eve. But, having these numbers here and then putting 24 and plus you have the 5. I think I might need to write Christmas Eve on there. But anyway, so some table and lobster and then the presents and our stockings. And on Christmas Eve, we open one stocking and one gift. And then the rest is Christmas morning. Moving into story 25, it was part of a 4x6, or it was part of a journal card, like specialty pack. And this piece of vellum with the gold 25 was on it. So using a couple pieces of pattern paper, and I cut this out. If I remember right, I think this was 3.75 by 5.75, the dimensions of that cutout. So tearing those back to back and using the one paper that had all of these looks like little presents or frames. So took the opportunity to include some of what was gifted this year, and then a bunch of chipboard from my stash and a little nutcracker. I love how this one turned out. I think this is super fun. And, again, sometimes that visual representation can always tell a story. Finishing up my album with the back, a photo of my husband, Ben, with the 2 pups, and then just some journaling here. It talks more, this is specifically about our Christmas, what we did, gifts we received and gave, and then adding a die cut. That was in my stash from a couple years ago. This is Calm and Bright. So that is a look at my 2023 December daily album. I have to say, I really, really love how this all came together. There's a little bit of crafty, but it's also simplicity. And as you guys have heard me say many times, I think there's so much beauty in simplicity. And for me, again, that goes back to just really focusing on the photos and the words, and everything is just everything else is extra for me. If you guys have questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below. Obviously, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more videos like these. And then I plan to be back here shortly to wrap up my 2023 Project Life album. I may do a process video for December plus a walkthrough, or it may just be a walkthrough. We'll see. And then in January, I will be sharing part of my title page and first spread, again, for January 2024 Project Life, and some of my different intentions for the year, as well as what to expect from this channel. So again, thanks so much for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it. And until next time, take care and Happy New Year.